Good morning. I'd like for you all to stop and think about where you were on September the 11th, 2001. For me, I was at a small regional university in Western Maryland, about 2 hours from Washington, D.C. And at 8:46 a.m., when the first plane hit, I was doing what many of us were doing that day, working at our office, taking advantage of the activities of the day. But before we continue to that, I want to make sure that our cadets are in place. September 11th, 2001, 8:46 a.m. When the first plane hit the tower, please think about where you were. I was in Western Maryland at my desk, and as the day progressed, we all gravitated toward the nearest televisions, and the immensity of what was going on was beginning to dawn on everybody. When the plane hit in Shanksville, 30 miles from my campus, the campus erupted. Students were calling their parents were calling the institution. We were trying to get students on buses. We weren't sure what the attack was. We weren't sure if our institution, because it was so close, was the target as well. And as the day unfolded, we realized the enormity of what happened, not only to us as individuals, but to our country. Our country changed that day, and it's never been the same. Now, 14 years later, we still deal with the same issues of terrorism. We're now dealing with a group that in many cases is one of the most barbaric we've ever seen in terms of their disrespect for human life and their desire to tear apart the lives as we know it. The lives that we have here today in this beautiful location, on this beautiful campus, in this beautiful part of the country. Today we honor the 2,996 individuals who died at the It bothers me because my students lost parents in the Pentagon attack. I lost a student in the World Trade Center, and the emotions of it are as strong today as the day that I learned about that. We all have stories about how it affected us, but we all have a responsibility to remember that those 2,996 people who were innocent did not die in vain, that we have a responsibility as leaders of society, as future leaders of society, to make sure that our way of life is always protected by supporting our troops, by supporting our emergency personnel, by supporting our police, and by supporting our families and each other. I'd like for you all now to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On that day of 9/11, 415 law enforcement and emergency personnel died, the largest single loss of these individuals in our country's history. You see before us the cadets of the Oxnard College Regional Fire Academy Battalion 44. These cadets have made a public commitment that they will continue to walk in the footsteps of those individuals who lost their lives. So these individuals represent not only the past, but the future of those who have committed to serving our country, to serving our communities, and to serving you as individuals to protect the rights that we hold dear. To speak to you, I would like to introduce the battalion officer of Battalion 44, Mr. Matthew Flores.
I vividly remember that day, being abruptly awoken by my panicked mother. Watching the events unfold on TV as only a 10-year-old boy. I was horrified by the heinous attacks, but in the shadow of darkness, there was a glimmer of light. The responders responding in to save lives in the midst of danger. That planted a deep-seated desire in me that at the time I did not understand. Hello everybody, my name is Matthew Flores, proud former United States Marine and the current battalion officer of the Oxnard College Regional Fire Academy. When tragedy happens, it is important not only to remember the ones we lost, but the brave acts of valor and the courageous acts, and the lives impacted as a result. The September 11th attacks were a series of 4 coordinated attacks by a terrorist group. 4 passenger airliners were hijacked and were meant to be flown into buildings. 3 of them met their destination. 1 was crashed into a field when its courageous passengers overcame its hijackers. The attacks, as prior mentioned, were the deadliest in the history of the United States for law enforcement and firefighters. 343 firefighters and over 70 law enforcement officers passed that day. 14 years later, some are still affected by cancers attributed to the smoke inhaled while saving lives in the debris. When catastrophe strikes, it is important to remember the ones we lost, the brave acts of valor, and the lives impacted as a consequence. My brothers and sisters of our armed forces, to all public safety organizations, and most of all to the survivors who still bear the wounds of that day. It is an honor to be here with you to remember the tragedy of 14 Septembers ago, to honor the greatness of all who responded, to stand with those who still grieve. Together we pause, we pray, and we give humble thanks. We pray for the commemoration of all those taken from us, nearly 3,000 innocent souls. Our hearts still pain for the future snatched away, the lives that might have been, the parents who would have celebrated the pleasure of being grandparents, the fathers and mothers who would have celebrated the pride of a child's graduation, the sons and daughters who would have grown, maybe been married, and have children of their own. Today, we not only remember those who died that September day, we pay sincere tribute to more than 7,000 patriots who paid their fullest extent as military and civilians. We realize their legacy in the relationships they formed, the attacks they prevented, and the innocent lives they protected, and in their comrades still at war. Let us have courage like the survivors and the families that carry on, no matter how dark the day or how difficult the nights. Thank you to all the armed forces and public safety organizations for all that you do for us. May God bless the memory of those that we lost. May He comfort their families. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
If you now all join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. In closing, as we leave this beautiful environment and go back to our lives, which those individuals on 2001 gave their lives for, so that we could continue our lives, please be resolute in your commitment to our country, a commitment to your integrity, your ideals, about the fact that we are among the luckiest people in the world to have what we have. And it is very important that we be able to maintain these, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. Our bagpiper is Charles Morris. We will conclude today. Charles will play a final number, and I ask that you all stay in place until the battalion has exited the area. Thank you. Thank you all for attending.